these porcelain products, bowls, vases and ornaments, cups, saucers and dishes, jugs and basins, plates, teapots and coffee pots, have been made in Auckland from New Zealand clay. In the huge rotary mixers, china clays from North Auckland are ground up and blended with other clays, perhaps from South Canterbury, and broken down, crushed, softened and pressed out into raw material for the potter's art. In the modern factory, the ancient potter's wheel survives. There can be no more satisfying craft than this, the shaping of artifacts direct from the raw subsoil of our native earth. Anyone watching this is likely to want to try it himself. It looks easy, doesn't it? Except that it's electrically driven, the modern wheel differs not at all from those used in Asia before the dawn of history. Not only does the wheel survive, but it's the prototype of many modern high-speed machines for the shaping of potter's clay. With the aid of such machines, the factory turns out plates hand over fist. Oval dishes take a little longer to make than plates, but as long as we have fish, poultry and Sunday joints, we the customers will demand good large oval dishes to serve them on. And this is the way they're made. Making cups for NZ's morning and afternoon tea is, needless to say, a continuous process. The rotating molds loop round and round, and the operator slaps in the clay and takes out the cups, complete except for glaze and handles. The handles are made separately, in molds that look like something that's fallen out of the back axle of a Model T. Cups go down the line to meet the handles. And there's no deception. This is the exact speed at which these skilled hands put handles onto cups for 40 hours each week. Machine-made plates, before they're glazed, have to be polished round the rims. And still the potter's wheel idea lingers on. When we do get away from the potter's wheel, it's to turn to the watering can. This is the casting room, and a mixture of clay and water, otherwise known as mud, is being poured into plaster of Paris shells. The liquid is left to settle in the molds for a while, and then the residue is poured away. After another short period of waiting, the halves of the molds are separated and formed vases removed from them. This is a process of surprising simplicity, adaptable to many lines of pottery unsuited to the wheel technique, such as vases, jugs and dishes of irregular or non-circular shape. Prototypes for casting in molds are made by hand, and one of the factory artists is working up an original design for a Toby jug. many articles of unbaked clay are stacked up on fireproof trolleys. Before glazing, all these products of clay have to go through the fire. The potter's fiery furnace, which inspired some of the verbal imagery of the prophets of the ancient world. But coal gas, not wood, provides the fuel for the modern industrial potter's oven. After the first firing, the pieces have their first glaze. Such articles as jugs are dipped in glaze by hand before being fired again. Not the factory cafeteria, but an automatic glazing machine for plates and saucers. In this little inferno, they're sprayed with powdered glass and dried off by passing through flames. Finally, the plates are stacked up for a second firing in the ovens. Now the glaze is on and patterns have to be added, especially for juvenile customers. What would be the good of eating up all your porridge in the morning if there was no pretty picture to be seen underneath? The pictures go on in the form that children know as transfers and are burnt into the glaze at a third firing. Even in the decorating room, the potter's wheel has its influence. It proves very useful when a circle of color is required. Here in the midst of the factory, simple hand skills still find their place. Into the modern electric oven they go to have the pattern burnt into the glaze. Products of a craft that is older than history, but products too of a recently expanded New Zealand industry, founded on native raw material as old as the land itself. It is thanks to the deposits of good China clay that Auckland can boast the largest British pottery works outside England.